You are listening to the IoT for All Media Network.
Welcome, Oleksii. Thanks for taking some time to chat with me today.
Thank you. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, it's great to have you. Do you want to just start off just to introduce yourself to our audience? Tell them a little bit more about you and your background experience.
Okay, sure. I'm Oleksii Ostroverhyi. I'm president of MobiDev, and MobiDev is a full-cycle engineering company with headquarters in the United States and R&D centers in Ukraine and Poland. And we focus on building AI-powered solutions in web, mobile, IoT, and augmented reality domains. We are in business since 2009. Today, we have around 400 people in-house. So these are quick facts.
And the 400 people that you have, are they kind of all over the world? How are you guys spread out?
Majority are in Ukraine now because before actually the war started, we were pretty much like Ukrainian company.
Yeah.
And I will say that we opened the office in Poland just recently. So
Sure.
now our office in Poland hosts those who could escape, who could cross the border, because male from 18 to 60 are not allowed to leave Ukraine because of martial law.
Wow.
And but well, we had almost 41 or 42% of female workers in our company. So some part of them left.
Yeah, sure.
Also, there are some kind of allowances for men who have, for example, 3 kids or have some medical conditions or other conditions, who can also leave Ukraine. And now they kind of host around this office in Poland, Lodz. So we went international thanks to war.
Wow. Yeah, that's it's never a situation you want to have to be in order to or to be the cause of a situation like that, right? As far as you had to go international because of war. Obviously, we wish kind of the war stuff never happened at all. But it's good to know that you, and it seems like the company so far, for the most part, from our conversation before we even started recording, are in safe places for the most part. And I did want to ask you, since the topic of this conversation is kind of discussing how international events like war impact businesses, I wanted to ask you if you could talk a little bit more about how the war has affected MobiDev from a company and just general business practices.
Okay, I would say that the war hurts people more than businesses, because this war is like really ultimately villainous. The world sees now this even allusions with the final solution to the Ukrainian question in it. So like millions had to leave everything they had and live with, lost their homes and dear ones, searching for shelter. So the situation is really terrible, but Ukrainian people should not be underestimated, because we are a free and democratic nation. So we self-organized, and this war immediately became like the people's war. Everyone engaged. And similarly, our team in Ukraine, I mean, MobiDev team, remained motivated and organized. And so those who had combat experience or military education, they went to armed forces, and the rest demonstrated the same, dedication and resilience on the economic front. So they did everything possible and impossible to continue working and fulfilling our obligations in front of our clients, and in order to be able to support their families, our country, and our army. As for the company, I would say we were pretty well prepared, and it wasn't opportunistic. We had a business continuity plan constantly maintained by a corresponding committee. And actually, this war started in 2014. And since the time from occupation of Crimean Peninsula and the part of Donbas region, we transferred all our infrastructure to the clouds.
Okay.
Back then, we opened an office in the city of Chernivtsi in the western Ukraine, which is approximately like 20 miles, just 20 miles from the European Union and NATO boundary. And this is where we relocated now the majority of our staff. And even back that time in 2014, we already had an experience of relocating our Mariupol office to the western part of Ukraine. Also, COVID taught us to work remotely from any place.
Sure.
And so we provided all our employees with portable laptops and equipment. So like we are ready to work from any spot in the world very quickly, like in no time. And every time the war in news appeared, we updated contacts of transportation companies, of potential places, safe places to accommodate our employees and their families. We made some reservation. We checked emergency communication means and so on. So we were really well prepared. And then when this massive invasion started, we quickly relocated our main office from Kharkiv and also another office which was endangered in Mykolaiv in the south of Ukraine to safe places, mainly in Chernivtsi and abroad. And I mentioned we opened a new engineering center in Lodz, Poland, which hosted our employees, mainly female and men who could cross the border. And well, there was a ton of work under the hood, how to like manage resources, financial, human, communications, and so on and so forth. But I would say that at the end of the day, we didn't miss a single important milestone or delivery to our clients, and we are proud of it.
Oh, you absolutely should be. That's unbelievable. And at the same time, if you did, I'm sure there wouldn't be too much objection from customers because of the situation that's kind of going on. But speaking of your customers, how have they kind of reacted to the impact the war has had on your company and just generally speaking on business dealings that you've engaged with them on?
Well, to say it was a shock for everyone is to say nothing. But our clients knew us very well. We traditionally aim for long-term relationships, and we have clients who work with us for more than a decade. So the credit of trust was really high, but we didn't rely on it. We started to proactively communicate with our clients so they had a full actual picture of their project and general situation around MobiDev and even Ukraine. And I personally sent weekly business updates to each and every client of MobiDev. And our account and project managers did a great job providing daily updates regarding the specific projects and team members. So this helped us to mitigate and even turn back some clearly panic reactions, like immediate blocking of our accounts. But in general, our clients are amazing. They demonstrated full support. They kept their business with us. Despite some reductions, no single client left. They promoted us. Some clients paid for full-time work even though their team couldn't work full-time. They donated the Ukrainian army. Some of them purchased and shipped the equipment for our soldiers, which was impossible to buy in Ukraine that time. They offered help to take our families abroad and offered their houses. Like absolutely amazing. It was
that's incredible. I mean,
positive shock for us.
It's kind of the relationships that people dream about having with their customers and the business relationships they look for. And people say they strive for that kind of thing, but at the end of the day, it in situations like this, or even lesser situations, that kind of relationship is put on full display. And The fact that all of your customers stuck with you, offer to help, offer to support in any way they can, says not only a lot about them, but also a lot about you guys. As an organization, and where your principles are, where your what your overall goals are, and the fact that there is another element to the business that people sometimes overlook, and it's the people, right? It's the relationship, it's the people aspect.
Yeah,
Like at the end of the day, we do the
absolutely.
job to have a life and support families and the ones we care about, um and sometimes we have to strip away the business side and just be people and humans for a second. And I feel like that relationship that you have with your customers, it kind of showed that in a very, very great way. Um, and I wanted to ask you, kind of as you've been going through this whole process with your customers, um, has there been anything that you've had to kind of pivot or adjust to accommodate your customers in any way? It sounds more like they've been more accommodating, kind of to help and support you all. But just out of curiosity, on your end, have you seen yourself or maybe even other companies that you work with have to pivot operations in order to accommodate customers during a time like this?
Yeah, good question. Thank you. Uh, I already mentioned communications and our like very proactive position in this, but I would say just words are not enough against such a
They're not.
crisis.
They're not.
And communication is a hard and important work, but we
Right.
had to prove our reliability with our deeds. And I also mentioned that we didn't miss a single promised delivery, but actually we even had to accelerate to show that we are capable of delivering even in such conditions. So I would
Mm-hmm.
like to give some numbers for the first quarter of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, for example, we made 64 releases on our commercial projects.
Okay.
Half of them, 32, were done in March, comparing
Okay.
to 14 in February and 18 in January. So, like twice as normal.
Right.
We signed 8 new contracts with new clients, so 8 new businesses, and 10 new contracts with our existing clients. We hired 65 new people, again 32 in March, like
Wow.
almost. It was a record for us, actually, historical record.
That's that's
We've
unbelievable.
never hired that much people in 1 month.
Oh, I bet.
Um,
I mean, given this given the environment in which we're in, and you all being a large portion of your operations being located in the Ukraine, nobody would expect anything like that from any company, and rightly so, because of the priority shift that happens when an event like this is happening. So, the fact that you all are able not only to grow, push out product releases, hire new people to continue, or maybe just additional people to kind of continue to grow and bolster up the operations is fascinating, because I don't think anybody would expect that. And I'm glad we're able to chat today to kind of shed light on the fact that the business is still moving forward and very resilient and flexible on ways to kind of get this done, not just to deliver to the customer, but also to keep the safety and the livelihood of your employees thriving. And that's not an easy thing to say.
yeah, that's true. It
Um,
requires really hard work,
Oh,
and
it's and a different kind of work at times too, right? I mean, some not. I know you mentioned at the beginning of this how you've kind of prepared based on 2014, based on COVID. You have some things that have happened and changed to allow you to um to not be completely blindsided on how to approach this. But it's still not something that people regularly have to go through or prepare for. So being able to even do it in that kind of way is says a lot.
yeah, thank you.
Um,
Our
one
clients
other
were also surprised.
Oh, absolutely,
Positive.
but pleasantly surprised, I'm sure. But at the same time, it sounds like we said a second ago that they're more happy and that you all are staying safe and doing well as people, and the company part comes second, which um, is just kind of goes to the relationship and the types of business that you do, the types of companies you do business with. Um, so so absolutely. One question I want, like, if we kind of bring this out a little bit broader for a second, because I'm sure there's lots of people asking about or wondering about just the industries in general in Ukraine and what's going on. how do you kind of estimate the Ukrainian IT and kind of IoT market being affected at the moment? I know I'm sure a lot of it has to do based on where in Ukraine the company is based, but just generally speaking, how have you seen kind of things be affected with the war going on?
I would say there are three aspects to this. First of all, I've already mentioned the impact on people, and of
Hmm.
course, it couldn't remain unnoticed for such a people-centric industry as IT. But to some extent, it gets compensated by flow of people from other industries which were more affected by the war. Second aspect is obviously like an immediate break of all relations with Russia and Belarus. This doesn't affect MobiDev much, as all our clients come from the United States and other,
Okay.
let's say, developed countries. But some companies in Ukraine, which targeted local or post-USSR markets, are like in trouble now. And the third and the most significant aspect, I would say, despite all the support we feel and receive, we learned that to support is actually not equal and not necessarily mean to invest. And those people who send heaps of money to support our army, who offer their homes to our wives and kids, they
Right.
switch to a completely different mode when they start calculating risks for their business.
Sure.
And this is understandable. This is the right way to approach it. And this means that if the war and corresponding uncertainty significantly prolongs, it will be harder and harder for us to answer the questions of our potential clients, like why they should invest in Ukraine, why trust us, and so on. So while our existing clients are quite loyal because they saw what we are capable of, even under shellings in bomb shelters or on the way
Right.
to safety, getting new business can become a real pain. And this is the biggest concern, I would say.
Do you think that on the MobiDev side of things, it has helped you having headquarters in the US from a client standpoint? Like, have they kind of seen that as maybe less risky than the other companies that they work with potentially in the same region, or how do you think that's been viewed?
Well, it helped us even before the war because
Okay.
we have like legal representatives and formal presence in the United States and in the
Okay.
UK.
Yep.
Because of more trusted jurisdictions in general, like especially bigger companies, they need to know there is someone, well, simply saying you can take to the court when something goes wrong, and this should be in like understandable and better even native jurisdiction for them. So that's why legally we operate as like US company or the UK company.
Hmm.
But I believe it will improve after the war ends.
Sure.
Uh,
Sure. Absolutely. And last question I have for you, and I'll let you go. Is what is your prognosis about the future of kind of IT software outsourcing to companies with Ukrainian um, R&D locations, things like that? Because like you mentioned earlier, it's a big part of kind of what you do there. But I just kind of wonder how you kind of feel like this, the war and just the current situation right now will affect things in the future, and kind of where you think things are going.
well, my prognoses are only bright. No other way. Only victory for Ukraine and for MobiDev. With all the support we have from our friends, our colleagues, international society, there is no other way. We will win, for sure. And I believe as soon as the war ends, as we win, we can expect lots of investments into Ukraine, and
Okay.
especially once Ukraine enters the European Union and maybe other international communities. So we will regain the trust, and I hope that taxation policies will remain attractive, and this is a
Hmm.
great combo.
Sure.
for investments. And if Ukraine was one of the biggest IT hubs in the world even before, while not being a member of the European Union, having
Right.
with Russia since 2014, it will only strengthen in the future after we win. And as for MobiDev, with our Ukrainian spirit in the very heart of the company, we know how to turn challenges into opportunities. And I think that this diversification trend and trend for remote work will only grow in the future. And that's why we consider opening new R&D centers and business development units all across the globe.
Right.
Maybe even via acquisition of other companies. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. Yeah, and for our audience out there that wants to kind of learn more about MobiDev, maybe this is the first time they're hearing about you all. How can they do that? Is the website the best place?
Probably yes. MobiDev.biz.
Okay, perfect. Well, I will say this is the first time we've ever publicly kind of talked about what's happening over in Ukraine, and it was a pleasure to have you on here to kind of share your insights, being located in the Ukraine and having an organization that has many employees and many members of the team over there in different areas, talking about the challenges that come with having to adjust operations for a big event like a war that I know we all are kind of paying attention to through our own mediums, but having you be able to kind of shed some light on how it's affecting the business, how your customers have perceived things, and your optimism and your outlook on this whole thing going forward is pretty special to see. Most companies and people could probably have a very different viewpoint, but you've seen incredible kind of resilience, probably not only your own company, but the customers that you work with, the relationships you've built, and just your spirits today has been very, very exciting and motivating to kind of see. So we wish you all the best of luck. You'll obviously be in our thoughts. Make sure you and the rest of the team and everyone over there is safe. It's always a pleasure to talk to you and have a relationship with MobiDev.
Thank you so much, and thank you for spreading the word about us and showing us to the world.
Absolutely.
Because I guess for many people before this war started, probably half of the world couldn't point Ukraine on the globe, but now we are everywhere, and it's important to see not just something bad is happening to Ukraine, but see real people, real
100%. Yeah, and you shedded some great light on that. That there's the human element to all this, and it's not always about the business side. And but in some ways, they can kind of fit really well together because of those business relationships. They have provided resources, support for you, the team, and things like that. So very interesting to kind of talk through the interconnection of both of those and how you all come together in a time like this. So thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And we'll definitely have to find time to kind of sync up over the coming months to kind of stay updated on what's going on over there.
Great. Thank you. Looking forward to talking to you again.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was great. It was my pleasure. We'll talk soon.
Goodbye.
Bye. All right, everyone. Thanks again for watching the IoT for All Media Network. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Be sure to hit the bell notification so you get our latest videos as soon as they become available. But other than that, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.